Hello, welcome to Animal Audit Corner. Joy Vila started off her show with one of her songs, Freedom, on Friday morning as her usual introduction to her show, which is the greatest because getting up and dancing is what everybody likes to. Then, with her fabulous, upbeat personality, when presenting herself to the world, when she starts to stream of the kind, when she's on air with her 5 pillar faith, freedom, finance, fitness, and family. Then her and the 3 pastors were her special guests with Natalia Wolf, Bishop Leon Benjamin, and Minister Mona A.K. speak at one of those public hearings along with me, even though I haven't done it in a while since being hacked. Friday, as you know, is Friday morning church day on Joyce Vila's show. These people preach with love and cherish to the world with gratitude. Everyone's talking about God and how He exists in our lives throughout the world. And then all three of the people started saying the Lord's blessings. First, Pastor Natalia Wolf started to say her blessings first, and then it went down the line. Bishop Leon Benjamin started to say his blessings, and then it would go down the line again. Then it goes to Minister Mona, aka Fat Grammy. Then she started to say her blessings. After the blessing, Mr. Leon Benjamin had to catch a flight, so he had to sign off a little bit early. Then Joy would show a picture of a Giselle, and Mona said that she heard God's voice in the gazelle, which is usually the Native Americans' way of worshiping. They feel that talking to a tree, well, with her, it's talking to animals. But yeah, with me, it's also talking to animals since, yes, I am an animals rights activist, and I'm sorry that I haven't had an animal rights story lately, but I will bring you an animal rights story hopefully next week. Then Joy would okay. After Natalia said that God would talk in metaphors because He wanted us to be still, to be inquisitive. With a healing journey with research thinking, what is God saying to me before her. Okay, that's the way Pastor Natalia said she heard that when she was going through a divorce, when she heard those voices. And Natalia said that God created us for a reason. Then Joy started to go over the comments, and she said she will start wrapping it up. That she was going to take a trip to Ireland, which should be exciting. That's what I also love to do. Traveling is the most best way you can just see the entire world that nature has the. And she was looking forward to having fun in Dublin, and Joy was excited about her going there. And of course, Natalia is going to join her as well. Then one of her way to Ireland, they are going to have a layover, and she was going to be there for 22 hours. Whoa, what a long wait. Then she said that everybody in Ireland has a day off of work, all due because of a holiday. And she was looking forward to meeting all those Irish people in Ireland. Then a taxi driver gave her a tour around Ireland. Afterwards, after closing out, after that, they would close out in prayer. Joe would start off praying. Then it would go right down the line to Mona, and she would start to pray. After, it would go right down to Natalia, was next one to pray, and she would start to pray. Then in conclusion, Joy would close out the show with one of her songs. And of course, we all know we see God differently when we worship him. Some people worship him by worshiping nature, by using the god and goddess. And then in Buddhism, they would use Buddha to worship nature with the rising sun. I think that's the way they worship him. Of course, they see, well, you get the idea. And Muslims would worship God by bowing to him. But most of all, Christians would pray with the words. Everybody, there's no right way or wrong way to worship God unless you are in a cult. And of course, you know, Joy has been in Scientology and escaped through. How did she escape? Well, I guess I'll eventually find out again. But she also has a book of her own. her revelations on when she was in the cult of Scientology. But then, in conclusion, her books in bookstores right now and on Amazon. So just hop on Amazon. Now, from Joy Vila to Apostate Alex. And this is good news for the UK. Apostate Alex has another day of streaming on YouTube, and he has the usual song from the Power Rangers, only he is using Power Thetans instead of Power Rangers in his introductory to his. He was all smiles when he streamed. 2 days ago, he got the news that they are lobbying for new laws. As you know, he was known to make a great entrance, and that was his entrance, that it was good news that there is now legislation changing around the laws a little bit in the other side of the pond. Yesterday, he came on with, well, but it's not for, not in, it's the people in the United Kingdom that has a lot of attention from the press with the online safety, that wants to have a new law that has restriction on adult content online. That law has restriction on pornographic material. It also has a good amount of new limitations as well, not just for pornographic materials. It has the Malice Communication Act. The United Kingdom has great laws protecting families, and those laws have a repercussion for Scientology, and it's going to have them stop them, harass former Scientologies and critics for have new legislations which has them looking into adding new offenses to their law. Even though it was a very short stream, he did cover a good amount of what that new law might have for fixing. The new guidelines in the United Kingdom that has their fair game game tactics. The Online Safety Act would have criminal offenses to cause physical harm or any kind of malice to if a person commits a forced communication, if they are sending false information that would cause physical harm to another. This whole law applies to everyone, including Scientology, who has an online harassment tactics to all their former victims, including their magazine articles. And Alex would be one of the people who has online attacks against him. All of that would cause physical, psychological damage that has their victims silenced from speaking out against Scientology and scares them into not talking about their abusive practices. That new law, which has caused case, will be made to stop them from causing former members. There will be cases that will go against the organization if there is any coercion like that. Overall, this will be preventing Scientology from sending inaccurate information through the internet and would stop it from going viral, or after it went viral, obviously. But it would also prevent them from going viral. Then, nevertheless, this would be a good new form for good news for former Scientologists who are no longer in. But all in all, if a person keeps accurate information on how that organization traumatizes them, then they might be eligible for prosecution in the. And ultimately, if the harassment goes on for anywhere from 6 months to a year, contact the police as soon as you can if you are living in the UK. If a person causes self-harm to themselves, Scientology will be held liable. And since that organization is not seen as a nonprofit, if they're not seen as a nonprofit, in conclusion, if the act is conducted in the United States and the United Kingdom, then all in all, if OSA conducts any form of harassment, then they can be held liable. That is wonderful news for former Scientologists and critics, as well as, well, maybe journalists. He hasn't mentioned that, but this is definitely good news for everybody in the United Kingdom. But what about the United States and the other parts of the world who doesn't have such laws? Here, it's protected by free speech, but hey, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Now, as you know, speaking of hate, you know the hate site that went out to Laura FM with her dad on a hate because of Scientology. Osa and David Miscavige had Phil Anderson talk about his daughter, Megan, as you all known as Laura FM. Of course, that hate was directed at her, but in a subtle way, making it look like he was concerned about his daughter. Well, ultimately, it might have, because according to Aaron Smith Levin, he still loves his daughter, but you know what? He has a funny way of showing it, let me tell you. But however, I came up with a great idea. Go to that hate site and give it a thumbs down. And don't press subscribe, just a thumbs down. And let them know using that hate site on former members and critics, along with journalists, is unacceptable. But that thumbs down is for Laura to support her. So go to that site, give it a thumbs. But if you don't want to, fine. I understand. And it sounds, yeah, just a, yeah. I mean, at first I was apprehensive of coming up with that idea, but then I was thinking, you know what? We'll let them know how we feel by giving them the thumbs down, saying this is unacceptable. You cannot do this to other families. And you'll also be supporting Laura. So, in conclusion, when you do that, contact Laura and give her all the love and let her know that we gave her Scientology's hate site the thumbs to teach them a lesson in respect, which they don't have for any. So, at the end, we would definitely let Scientology have it. We're going to give it to him good, saying you're not allowed to break up any family or treat people disrespectfully. So give it a thumbs down. But then, all in all, Scientology's numbers would continue to drivel. Well, decline, really. So, hit the like, press subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.